could do is edit this text thing. Well, I don't need to do that right now. But just know that in the key of G, I wrote out the chords in the key of G and the triads anyway. And you can number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I guess 7. Don't really see the 7 chord in a major key very often. Usually it would be a D over F sharp leading chord. So, hey Bob, hey Wendy, hey Pepper, Basil, what's going on? Or Basil, Basil. I guess it depends on where you're from. We're going to talk more about harmony. I'm going to test your ears some more. I need to set up a way to keep you from seeing my hands. I may have to turn my back so I can test you. But I also have my piano up. And that's not a bad way to test you, because you're probably, if I played you're going to immediately know what that is. It's a G chord because you're so familiar with the sound of it. But that's actually good because it's familiarity with pitches, tones, and sounds that are going to help you and speed you up on trying to figure out chord progressions and such. Like I said last week, when I was teaching, I started teaching when I was 15, but really didn't get my first teaching job at a store until I was 17. Just a few months before I turned 18. And man, I had to learn how to figure out a song, get it on paper, and get the kid playing it within 30 minutes. And it might not be a whole song, like I might have only gotten to the intro, Stairway to Heaven or something, not even the intro, the first phrase. In the first lesson, you know, I could make Stairway to Heaven last 5 or 6 lessons if they really, really wanted to learn the whole song. I tried to teach the whole songs when I could, because guitar players are famous for knowing the intro riff to every song, but never being able to play the whole song. It's like you start to play a song, and everybody goes, oh, yeah, play that song. And then it's like, oh, why'd you stop? And it's like, well, it's kind of boring if you don't have someone singing. Like, I could play Stairway to Heaven, but you know, the A section is what everybody's familiar with, and then you get to the B section, C section, D section, and E section, and unless somebody's singing over it, it's just a bunch of strumming. So, you know. Was it? Whatever. It's been ages. So if you had someone that was singing it, I have a friend Dave that can play any song and plays all the way through it, but he can also sing, and everybody joins in, and that's a lot of fun. Hey Tom Dorsey, good to see you. But kind of the way that Rick Beato can just hear a song and figure it out, and I'm not completely convinced. Like he often knows the key, and he doesn't have perfect pitch. But if you hit a E note and then I hit that note, you might be able to immediately know that that's an F sharp, because you're comparing and contrasting. You're comparing it to a note that what you already know what it is. In a blind test, you might have to go, have to hit one note before it, and that's called relative pitch. Basically, I kind of have relative. I don't have perfect pitch. I kind of have relative pitch. Oh, happy birthday, Dennis. Is that how many birthdays he is? How many candles is it? How many cakes is that? Let's see, that's 8. Looks like 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. So 5 times, so 50. No, I don't think Dennis is 53 years old. Hey, Bruce. This is a Loudon F22, if you're wondering. There's a Discord link up there you can click on and join the Discord group. I haven't been on in a while. So if you're asking, oh, was it 45? I miscounted. It's more than 45. Oh, you're 45. Okay. That's, you're a kid. You're a flippin' kid. Right, Bruce? So, but Rick can kind of, especially when he's like doing the pop countdown or the country countdown, he just did one of those. He hadn't done one of those before. He can just figure out the chord progressions so quick. Well, part of the reason why is because there's only so many chord progressions, and if something is weird, like if something jumps out, it's like, oh wow, okay, what's that? And you know, you might have to fish for that one. But we're gonna I'm choosing the key of G. We had this key of C last week. I'm choosing the key of G because G's pretty much the easiest key to play in on guitar. You've got a G chord, which is your 1 chord. You got this 4 chord. We count up 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. Right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Our 4 chord is C. 5 chord is D. The minor 6 chord is E minor, minor 2, and minor 3. The only one there that's a bar chord is the B minor. And I'm playing it nothing on the bottom string. 2nd fret, 4th fret. Where are you? There. 4th fret, 4th fret, 3rd fret, and 2nd fret. So I'm barring right here. Now, a cheater way to play B minor, you could kind of do B minor 7, which adds an A to it, and that would be nothing on the bottom. 2, 0, 2, 0, 2. And I'm using, you can see that, I'm using my first 3 fingers. I might play it this way with these 3 fingers, kind of like how I play A and then just explode A. So A and then explode it. You could also do like B minor 7, 11, which is kind of like if you take D and take your 1st and 2nd finger and move them up 2 strings each, you're going to be on 2, 0, 2, 3, 0. So that could be a substitute for B minor, but ultimately you want to be able to get the bar chord down, and B minor is definitely easier than B major. Okay, B major, you have a a gap between your 1st finger and your other 3 fingers, and that makes it really difficult to kind of get that chord. B flat, B, those are not fun chords. But if you can get them down, they're really helpful to have, especially if you're playing the key of F and you don't have a capo or whatever. And on acoustic guitar, I almost always gravitate towards a capo if I'm going to play in a key like F, because I can make it sound a lot more friendly. I can make it sound a lot easier. If the chords, playing the chords are hard, I've had people say, in fact, at one of the clinics, I said, well, you're not a man if you use a capo. I'm like, and maybe it was something like that. It wasn't exactly that. And I went, well, you know, I'd rather have it sound good than sound bad. And if I'm struggling to make bar chords, you know, make an F and a B flat, and you know, it's no problem to throw the capo on and play a D shape and a G shape. You know, that's to me no brainer, because you can. I mean, even James Taylor, then he when he wants to play in the key of even C, you know, God, was it key of F? You know. He will throw the capo on. He uses the capo a lot. So I will use the capo because I think it sounds better to have a lot of open strings on your acoustic guitar. Electric, the only time I use a capo maybe is if I'm doing some kind of country thing and I want, like we're playing in the key of A and I want to be able to use a lot of like G licks or something like that. Or if we're playing in the key of B flat, which is really rare in country, same kind of thing. I would capo at the 3rd fret and play G shapes. Or I might capo at the 1st fret and play in A shapes. When I say A shapes, I mean the shapes that would occur in the key of open A, you know, in tuning, open position A. So, but we're going to play, I'm going to show you the 6 chords here. We got G, right? Okay, A minor. All right, see if you can make this B minor here. It's just the A minor slid up, basically. Then C, D, E minor. And that's pretty much it. The transition chord from E minor to G is so often, it's gonna show up today, is D over F sharp, which you can play with a D chord with your thumb around here. I'll play a lot of times. I'll I'll kind of play like what I would call D2 over F sharp, where I put my first finger on the bottom string at the second fret, make that F sharp, and put my second finger on the third string, and then that opens up the first string. Sorry, am I getting questions? Well, actually no, because hey Dennis. You don't see Loudons very often, do you? I actually bought this when I got the gig doing Maranatha clinics back in '97, and it had belonged to the guitar player for Rod Stewart. I mean, he only had it was like a year old. I guess he didn't like it, and I had to have because it's a split bridge. You can see the bridge is split in two here. I think there was, what's the name of it? Like Rocky Mountain Pickups or something Mountain High Pickups. I can't remember. Something Mountain Pickups, and I think it sounds great as far as all my pickups go, and it's just piezo or piezo or however you say it, pickup. There's no microphone. I'm not a big fan of the microphones. I consider this plug-in acoustic a third sound. There's electric guitar, there's acoustic guitar, and then there's the plug-in acoustic. I do have tricks that I use to try to kind of help it sound acoustic. One of them is capoing and trying to get as many open strings in my playing as possible. And I also don't use any effects. So I don't put reverb or compression or delay or chorus on my acoustic guitar, because as soon as you do that, it starts, it's like, here's electric, here's acoustic, here's this plug-in acoustic. It's like, anytime you start putting effects on it, it's going to start skewing to that electric sound. And it's like, that's not why I'm picking up an acoustic. I want it to sound as acoustic as possible. So the more open strings, the more open chords I use, and then not having a lot of effects on it. Maybe a little reverb just to kind of take the edge off. But, to add chorus to your acoustic, I mean, you could do it. It's like, kind of makes it sound like a 12-string. Yeah, but it also kind of makes it sound like an electric guitar, and it's like you're taking it away. I mean, the original plug-in acoustic was the Ovation, and it definitely didn't sound like an acoustic guitar. The Sunrise pickup system, which is, I don't know, when you get the preamp and everything, it's like $3,000 or something. It sounds pretty good. I think there's pickups that go in the sound hole that have a mic on the back, and you kind of blend it. Yeah, I'm just like, I don't really like. So at church, when we do acoustic weekends, I bring a microphone. I don't bring the Gefell, but I bring what is it? The AKG 451, about a $600, $700 microphone. And I bring that because it's less like, it's a very small diaphragm. I can get really on it. And they can turn it down so it doesn't feed back in the house or vibrate or get any weird stuff. So people are always like, man, your pickup sounds great, your acoustic. I'm like, it's not a pickup. It's an acoustic. You're hearing an acoustic guitar because we mic'd it. So that's definitely my preference here. I guess you could go to tomstrahle.com. I don't really keep my website updated. I just pay the annual just so that somebody else doesn't take tomstrahle.com. Like most, probably 90% of the websites out there are not websites. They're just domains being held. Okay, so again, the chords in the key of G, we have the 1 chord, G, the 2 chord, A minor, the 3 chord, B minor, the 4 chord, C, 5 chord, D, and the 6 chord, E minor. On piano, it sounds like this. And see, now you can't see my hands. Okay? So there's a lot of common chord progressions just using those 6 chords. In fact, you could probably use just 4 of those chords. But as I've said before, knowing the key of a song can save you a ton of time. Okay? Because if I were to go chromatically up the guitar like this, there's 12 notes, okay? E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D, E flat, E. Okay, 12 notes. Each one of them could be the root of a major or minor chord, meaning this could be F major, F minor, F sharp major, F sharp minor, boom, right? So in Western music, we have 12 notes per octave. We have 2 major and minor tonalities per, so that's 24 different chords, right? All right. So you have, you could F minor and A minor and A flat major and C minor and E flat major and D major, and you could have all these different chords, 24 in total. And so if you're sitting down with that glossary, with that list of chords to figure out a song that's in the key of G, well, you're gonna kind of crowd or cloud the speed with which you can figure out the chords, because if you just figure out the songs in the key of G, now you can eliminate 75% of those chords, because in the key of G there are really 6 main chords. Well, before I said there were 12 major and 12 minor, that's 24 chords. If we can get rid of 3/4 of that, boy, it makes it a lot easier to figure out a chord progression. If I only have to trial and error 6 chords rather than trial and error 24 chords, right? So that's the first step. If you can figure out the key of a song, that really helps. And some people will say, oh, the first chord of the song is a key. No, generally the key is the chord that it wants to end on. All right, so that progression did start on a G, but it wants to end on a G, right? But I could have started. That song started on C, it went C, G, D, G, and it's really in the key of G, and it wanted to end on it. It didn't really want to. You can end on, a lot of times. But that just sounds like amen. It wants to resolve. It's that 4/1 amen cadence. So you kind of end on. Now, a lot of times we will end on, if songs are more like, we might end on the 4 chord just to make it more interesting, or it's just sounding, like if the song's kind of an E minor song, right? Oh, Holly, yeah, we've been talking about you this whole time. So now you're going to go back and watch the whole thing and find out that I just lied. That song, you could end on E minor, because that's kind of what it starts on. And remember, E minor is the relative minor to the key of G. So if you want to play in E minor, you're also kind of playing in G, unless you go to the major 5 chord. So it sounds a little like corny to end on the 1 chord when you're playing in the relative minor key. When you're playing in E minor, it sounds a little cheesy, but it also sounds a little depressing to end on the E minor. It's a little more interesting almost to end on the 4 chord, but that's, it's everybody's different, and it's yours. If you're writing the song, it's your song. You do what you want. If you're playing a song live, you can also do what you want. So, Robophonic, what's going on? I'm curious. Try the LR Bags live acoustic. Captures an impulse response from your mic'd acoustic, so the DI sounds like. Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah, I mean, I don't play with. I mean, I played this weekend with this guitar plugged in, and it was fine. I don't know that I play live enough that I actually. I have friends that know the people at LR Bags, so they could probably send me one to check out. It sounds like a great idea. So what it does is it takes the kind of the EQ curve that your guitar is creating through the piezo and adjust it to make it sound more like the mic'd version. So you do I'm assuming you do kind of like, it's kind of like the technology they used for the Kemper, right? Where you sample your guitar amp and I think the Kemper is probably not a bad tool if you really do have like a lot of guitar amps that you love and it's like, man, I wish I could take them all on the road, but I can't. But for live, I'm still using my Lexicon rig from the 90s. It's vintage now. And it still sounds great. I have a bunch of them. There was a period of time where they were pretty much going for nothing. So I was buying them all anytime I would see them. And I have the whole setup. I have the pedal board, the cabinet, the amp, and the effects unit. I have them all because of the certain continuity there. That when I had a big rack system, you have all those rack things and all the input levels and the output levels, and nothing was matching, and you have all this, you get distortion, you're trying to find where the distortion, you get a hum, you're trying to get rid of the hum or a buzz, so it was a nightmare, and certainly love I certainly love my Lexicon system just because it's simple, and it's for church. When I play live, I use it, and every time people are like, dang, that thing sounds great. It's a direct rig. I can plug it in direct if I have to, but I like miking the cabinet. At church, we have a box that we put my cabinet in and we mic it. It's a lot easier on my ears. I find that a direct guitar signal can be a little bit brittle, and you tend to get a little like push in the 2-3K range, and that's kind of where the hearing, loss is. So John Y was wondering, for modes from any given major parent scale, would given modes chord progression be rearranged? Yes. Yeah. So if we're talking the key of E minor, just a pure E minor, you would have the 1 chord would be a minor chord, the 2 chord would be a diminished chord, but really probably play D over F sharp. The 3 chord would be major, the 4 chord would be minor, the 5 chord would be minor, the 6 chord would be major, the 7 chord would be major, and then back to the 1 chord. So you can definitely think of it that way. Something that I've never actually gotten into, but there's a name for all of them, and I'm familiar with them, especially when I'm playing Middle Eastern stuff. If I were to play harmonic minor, what's fun is to play the different modes of the harmonic minor. And when you play, G major, you've got G major, you got A Dorian, you got B Phrygian, you got C Lydian, you got D Dorian. D Mixolydian. You got E minor, you got F sharp Locrian, and then G. And they're all the exact same notes. Most of you just heard blah, 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 like the adults in Charlie Brown, in Peanuts. Yeah, so you don't need to really worry about that, but each of those modes have a name. Well, if I were to play G minor, harmonic minor, each of those modes have their own name, and I don't know them. I haven't memorized them, but they're like things like, D Lydian minor. It's like, oh, okay, it's like combining things, or it may even be like C minor with a raised 6. Well, that would be a Dorian, but it's just weird, like the C minor, the 4 scale has a really cool sound. Anyways, yeah. The 5 one. The 5 chord in a harmonic minor is really, that's the one I use a lot for like Middle Eastern sounds. So I'm basically just playing a G harmonic minor with a D in the bass. Sounds like a Rolling Stone song, right? Anyway, I got off subject. But I'll check out the bags thing. Um, and the thing is, like I said, at church when we do the acoustic weekend, see, it's really hard with a microphone to have to mic your guitar with a microphone on a stage. Our stage is really big, but if you have drums behind you, the bleed is not. It's just not good. In fact, even my microphone, it's like I have to keep it pretty close because when we do the acoustic weekends, they like to put the musicians on the front of the stage, and I can hear the congregation singing. And our auditorium seats like 3,500. We could have 3,000 people in there singing at the top of their lungs, and so all that's going into my microphone. So I try to keep the level down, but the microphone fairly close to the instrument. But the reason why I like to use a microphone too is that every song, like when we do those weekends, I just like to have some fun. Alex usually plays acoustic. My son usually plays acoustic, and I'll play like 12 string on a song and mandolin on a song. I might play dulcimer on another song. I might play, I played banjo before. What else have I played? I don't know if I've played bouzouki yet, but I've played different instruments to make it fun. So I'm picking up and putting down, and having to unplug and plug in or have 7 DIs or whatever is just not gonna. Having one microphone and boom, and I move the instrument to kind of get the best sound in my ears for it, and that gets the best sound for the house. So, yeah, yep. What's a good use for that scale? Well, a lot of Spanish music, Spanish pop. I mean, if I were to write a Spanish, let's see, Spanish, like but even then, I'm playing a D chord there, so that D sharp that would be the harmonic minor, create the harmonic minor sound. I can't use it the whole time. Gypsy jazz uses a lot of harmonic minor. If I'm going to play like over A minor 6 here, I love this. Just love the sound of that harmonic minor over like gypsy jazz music. So Spanish music, almost all flamenco music's in harmonic minor keys. So it's more the use of the harmonic minor follows genres more often than not. Okay. All right. So let's here's the thing. Here's the thing. When I tell this to people when they're trying to learn how to read music and they see like rhythms that are like, oh my gosh. Okay, like let's see if I can. All right. Well, I can't show you the name of this. Sorry. You can see there's a lot of notes here. Where's the camera? There it is. Okay. You see there's a lot of notes, and now my camera's probably going to be all jacked up. Okay. A lot of notes. There's some rhythmic weirdness, but there's when you get into 16th notes and 8th notes, you can have a bunch of different combos, and when they're all lined up in different ways, it's like, okay, that looks really complex. But it's like when you break it down into beat by beat, it's like, no, this rhythm is dun da da. Dun, da, da, dun, da, da, dun. So you just play that rhythm over and over again. Bum, ba, da, dun, da, da, dun. It's familiar. Or that one, it's like a 16th to an 8th to a 16th. It's like ba 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 ba, or nothing, and then 3/16ths. A 16th rest. It's like one. Let's see, one da 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 da. Ultimately, you've heard every one of the rhythms that you see written. You've heard them in some context or other. They're only unfamiliar because you don't know how to read them. And once you hear it, once you see them, you're like, oh. And so then what happens is you start to see these 16th note patterns, and you realize, oh, okay, I see the pattern now. All right. Well, kind of the same thing's true with chord progressions. When there's really only so many chord progressions. So let's play some right now in the key of G. And and I could do this too. Like I could turn my back and I could go, okay, what chord am I playing? Okay, because I'm only going to play these chords here. Okay? So those are the only chords. Where am I pointing? Right over here, right? Okay, those are the only chords I'm going to play for now. I'm going to try not to deviate from that and get sidetracked. Squirrel. Okay? So, what chord is that? Well, it's a G chord. We've been playing it. Okay? So now if I play another chord, it may take you a second. You may not know. But you might go, oh, well, that's a D chord. It sounds like a D chord. Exactly. Because you're familiar with the sound of a D chord. So there's certainly, and I'm going to try to keep these really pure. I'm not going to do C2. I'm not going to do D over F sharp. I'm not going to do E minor 7. You know, I don't want to confuse it. I want to keep it really, really super duper square and basic. Okay, so we're going to play these together if you can, all these chords, and we're actually not going to play the order of commonality of these chords. Is probably G, is in the key of G, the G chord is the most common chord used. Probably the second most common chord is going to be D, C, E minor, A minor, and lastly B minor. So there's very few, particularly pop chord progressions, rock chord progressions that use the 3 chord. Okay, so the 1 bar chord we're kind of spared. That's again another reason why the key of G is one of the best keys for guitar players. And by the way, thank you so much, John, for the tip. I appreciate it. The key of G is one of the best because of the 6 chords, the 5 most common chords are all open chords. You don't have to come up with a bar. It's only the least common of those 6 chords that. So wait, what are you saying, Joseph? With a capo 4, grassroots A minor, E minor, C, F, G, A, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not sure what you mean, but anyway. So so most of these chords should sound familiar. Okay, so I'm gonna play a chord. You don't need to type it in. All right, I'm gonna play a chord. I'm gonna let it ring for a second. I'm gonna tell you what it is. And then, but here's what we're going to do, okay? It's like you can see a note of music, right? You can have a note and you go, okay, that's okay, F, A, C, E, okay, that's a C. And that's great, like, oh, you can read music. But that's pretty slow. But what eventually happens is instead of reading individual notes, like this, you start to read phrases, okay? And the same thing's true with chord progressions. You stop hearing chords G, C, D, C. You stop hearing that and you start to hear this, oh, it's a 1, 4, 5, 4 progression. Okay? You'll start to hear the progression as a whole and you'll just go, oh, that's a 1, 4, 5. That's exactly what Beato does. It's based on a lot of experience. And probably, in his case too, he probably taught guitar lessons. I know he taught at college. But when I taught guitar lessons, I hear chord progression, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's just this chord progression in this key. Oh, okay. All right, so let me play a chord and then see how quickly you can get it, all right? Trying to hide my hand here. Yeah, that's a G chord. Let me know if you can make sure you can hear it. Okay, that's a C chord. That's a minor chord, isn't it? That's E minor. Okay, good. And you can tell it's a smaller chord. It's like, oh, is that only 4 strings? That must be a D chord. All right, well, is that the 1 chord? Is that G? No. That wants to resolve to G. That's the C chord. Oh, and there's the G chord. Okay. Is that E minor? No, that's A minor. There's E minor. Okay. You're pretty sure you know that chord. That's a D chord. Okay. That's a C chord. Oh, that's E minor. All right. Okay, so let's play some of these chords. G, right? D, C, E minor, A minor, and we get to a B minor. If you got it, you got it. Hey Sadie, oh, I don't even know how many people we've got going here. We peaked out at 28 and we're falling like a rock. No, 21 now. All right, so a real common chord progression would be G, C, D, C. You could also call that a 1-4-5. Sorry, a 1-4-5-4 progression. There's a term, a 1-4-5 progression. People will say 1-4-5 progression. Doesn't mean you're playing the 1, then the 4, then the 5. It just means a progression that contains the 1, 4, and 5. When I say it, when people say, oh, that's a 1-4-5 progression. Blues is a 1-4-5 progression. 1, 4, 1. Doesn't go to 5. It takes a while to get to the 5, and it goes to 4 again. To the 1. To the 5. Now you finally get to the 4. But yeah, generically go, oh, that's, you might say, oh, that's a blues progression, or you might say, oh yeah, 1-4-5. And those are the three major chords in any major key, the 1-4-5. Oh yeah, thanks, Bruce. Yeah, I use, Joseph, yeah, I use capo. I mean, billions of songs use capos. I use a capo oftentimes to get away from bad keys. So if the song's in the key of, B flat or F, or God help us, D flat, I'm definitely going to be, I'd rather play with a capo and play in the key of C than try to bang out some D flat major chords. So yeah, capos definitely for me a very, very important tool, acoustic. I have a capo in every acoustic guitar case. All right, so let's listen to some progressions here. G. C, D. All right, you hear that? Okay, so that's a 1-4-5-4 progression. 1-4-5-4. Okay. Let's do the classic 50s 1-6-4-5 progression. All right, we're going to add the E minor chord. Okay, like. Right, so that's kind of, but it's still a very common chord progression. It was. Now that was the same progression, but what Sting did there was he went one chord for 2 bars, the minors, the 6 chord for 2 bars. Then he went to the 4 chord for 1 bar, the 5 chord for 1 bar, the 5 chord for 1 bar, and then back to the 1 chord for 2 bars. So ultimately it was an 8-bar phrase. So it was kind of that 50s, kind of had a very, very familiar sound to it, but he didn't stay on the. He didn't stay on the C chord and the D. Well, in the case of that song, it was D flat and E flat. He didn't stay on the 4 and the 5 chord for 2 bars each to match the 1 and the 6 chord. So kind of creating a variation on that progression. Okay, so let's do these 2 progressions again. G, C, D, C. Now it could take all sorts of rhythms. So I could maybe play 3 beats of G. You know, that's part of the writing process, is to take something that pre-existed and maybe make a subtle change to it and make it your own. Okay, so I did 2 beats of each, right? Well, what if I did 3 beats of G, 1 beat of C, 3 beats of D, 1 beat of C? It would sound like this. Same progression, but a little bit different rhythm pattern, okay? I'm not even talking about the right hand. I'm talking about when the change occurs. I could push it on the and of 2. But none of that changes the fact that it's a 1-4-5-4 progression. Okay, same thing's true with the 1, 6, 4, 5, okay? 6, 8. Or I can do driving 8th notes. Or I could do the change on the beat too. Maybe I'll play 6 beats of G, 2 beats of E minor, 6 beats of C, and 2 beats of D. So that would sound like. Okay, so so basically, I've just showed you 2 possible chord progressions in the key of G. You might have them already now in your head that you can kind of hear them, like if you hear a cow moo, you know it's a cow. You don't think it's a chicken. If you hear a chicken cluck, you know it's a chicken. You don't think it's a cow. That's kind of where we're trying to head. It's like, you hear a 1-4-5-4 progression, you don't think of it's a 1-6-4. You immediately hear it as a 1. You go, oh, that's just a 1-4-5-4 progression. Okay, so I'm going to turn my back. I'm going to play one of these 2 progressions, and then see if you can tell which one it is. And I'll keep it simple for now. I'll play 2 beats or 4 beats of each, and not do any weird syncopations. Okay, all right. Let's see. How can I do this so you can't see my hand? Okay, there we go. Ready? You got it. Play along. So hopefully you figured out that that was G, E minor. That was the 1-6-4-5 progression, okay? You were playing along with it, and you figured it out. You heard it, hopefully, okay? It's fun when you can do that. It's like, what? Oops. Okay. So let's try. Yep. Let's try another one. We're in the key of G. Well, we only have 1 of 2. So let's see if you can figure out what this one is. Play along. Now, all right, so yeah, that was the 1-6-4-5, and I was playing it in 6-8. All right, you ready? We're gonna do another one. Yep, that's right, Robin. Okay, ready? Here's another one. So again, we only have the 2 progressions, so it's gonna be one of the 2. Okay, so that was the 1-4-5-4 progression. That was G. I was just playing kind of straight eighth notes, driving kind of rock eighth notes. G, C, D, and C. All right. Now let me add another progression. Very common progression. A very common pop progression in the 90s. This one's going to start on the most common minor chord. So you hear the first chord and you go, oh wait, that's not a major. That's not happy. That's sad. Like, oh, what's the most common minor chord in the key of G? Well, it's E minor. Is the sixth chord is the most common of the three minor chords. So another chord progression. Okay, I'm playing E minor, C, G, to D. E minor, C, I might do D over F sharp, okay? So I'm going to turn my back and I'm going to play that. Say, I'm telling you right now I'm playing that progression. And you should be playing along with it. Okay, now we're going to play another one of the three progressions. So we have the 1-4-5-4, we have the 1-6-4-5, and we have the 6-4-1-5. Okay, so you're starting to hear the, okay, one is a pig oinking, one is a cow mooing, and one is a chicken clucking. You're starting to hear these chord progressions as a standalone, almost like you hear a chord. You go, oh, that chord, oh, that's a major 7 chord. You know, you can start to hear chord progressions the same way you can hear a chord. Oh, that's a minor chord, that's a major chord, oh, that's a 7th chord, whatever. And start to recognize the entire pattern. Okay? All right, here we go. Minor, C, 4, 5. Okay, here's another one. It starts out sad, so which progression is that? Yep. Oh, sorry. That was a minor 6, 4, 5, 4, 1, 5. 6, 4, 1. Okay, another one. Okay, so hopefully you're jamming along with it. That was 1-4-5-4. Okay, now I could do a variation on the 1-4-5-4 and go out of the key. Check this out. You're like, wait, that chord's not in the key. I'm like, yeah, that's right. But that's a very common chord progression. And I would call that a 1-4 flat major 7, 4. Because normal major 7 would be F sharp, but we're going down a half step, creating an F major chord. Most of the notes in this, the A and the C are in the key of G. It's just the F that's not in the key of G. So this makes it kind of a G Mixolydian song. And you're like, well, that's the same as the key of C, so the song is in the key of C. I'm like, is it though? Because that was the mistake I made for years with this. I'm going, oh, it's E, A, D, A. That's in the key of A. Except you would never end that. And how many songs use that progression, right? always the same progression. Well, you wouldn't end that song on an A chord. It's thank you. Good night, everyone. That's like, no, it's woo. Thank you. Good night, everyone. That's what you end on. So we're technically in that scenario, we're in the key of E, not in the key of A, but we're in the key of E mixolydian. And so you want to end on the root chord generally when you're rocking out a tune. Okay. So in the key, in our chord progression thing, we're adding a new chord, and I would call it a neighboring chord in the key of G. Another neighboring chord would be like C minor. The Beatles used a minor 4 chord all the time. That might sound like this. You go. I mean, the Hollies and Radiohead used a 1/4 progression with 2 neighboring chords. So I take that B minor, and B minor is a bar chord, right? I don't like it. Boo. Okay, but B7, it's kind of a fun open chord. So substitute B7 for B minor, and that's a strong leading chord to the C chord, which is the 4 chords. We have G, B7. Woo, tension. Where's this going to go? Could go to E minor. E minor would be a good place for it to go. When it goes to C, then to C minor. That's a great example, and we talked about this when we talked about songwriting, of using neighboring chords in the key, or altered chords in the key. You could call that, like the F chord, you could kind of call it an altered, the F sharp diminished, but keep in mind the diminished chord, the notes in the F sharp diminished. Look at them right there: F sharp, A, C. Well, two of those notes are in the key of, or in the F chord. So it's not really much of a stretch to play an F chord. Like I said, 2 of the 3 notes are in the key of G. And it gives you kind of a strong movement. Like if I went. I'm using both the D major and the F major chord, and I'm using them against each other. But I'm not going to make you learn that progression. That's just a weird random progression I just made up on the spot. The Radiohead one, not going to necessarily say, hey, that is one you should know. But I heard it recently on a pop song. And Lana Del Rey basically did a complete knockoff of Creep, and I think she ended up having to pay Radiohead some money for it. But I don't know. You could go to YouTube and enter... what's it called? When they do those, when they take 2 songs and they compare and contrast, like how similar they are. Because, again, in the key of G, there's really only 4, 5, 6 chords that we might use. And so it's real easy to write a song that's very similar to someone else's song. I've always felt like arrangement, production, chord progressions, finger picking patterns, none of that is copyrightable. The only thing that's copyrightable are melodies and lyrics, and only lyrics that are, to a point. Like, if you just say, I love you. I mean, it's so funny there. If you go to YouTube, you can probably find a compilation of singers saying, I know, 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 I know. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, right? But you think, oh yeah, that song, I know that song. Well, there's hundreds of songs where the singers go, I know, I know. It's hilarious. It's a very common kind of lyric thing. Well, obviously those are not copyright infringements. But even lyrics, I don't ever hear any lawsuits over lyrics. It's pretty rare. I mean, I can't think of one. Um, it's usually about melodies. And even melodies as they sit over a chord progression. Like you could write a melody that was note for note someone else's chord progression, but if you completely reharmonized it, and you wouldn't recognize it because of the relationship of the chords and the melody. I mean, a simple example would be, I'm just playing a G scale, playing the first 5 notes of a G scale over a G chord. So if that's my But if I did the same melody over a C chord, you might not peg it as being the same melody because the harmony is different. The relationship, here is root 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is relationship. This one here, I'm actually playing the 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 1, 7, 6, 5. And now I might not do the same rhythm. I might go. Okay, so Scarborough Fair is probably over 500 years old. Oh, the do you na 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 na, and there's an example of harmonic minor, right? No, I guess it doesn't. It just goes to those two. Was it? I don't know. I taught that song. I remember teaching it, but on my brain, I have to have it in front of me. If I had it playing, I'd go, oh, boom, 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 boom. So pulling it up from the dusty cobwebs in my brain is not going to happen. The air that I breathe. Oh, the Hollies. Is that the Hollies? Yeah. Yeah, I always forget how many songs they had. They were, pretty big, and then they, but how many members became? Who was in the Hollies? Was it Crosby? Was it Nash? Was it Stills? Stephen Stills? Who was in the Hollies? Anyway, okay. So I'm gonna play. Okay, so we have 4 progressions now. I don't know if you remember, but we have 1, 4, 5, 4. We have 1, 6, 4, 5. We have 6, 4, 1, 5. And then I also did the 1, 4, 7, 4. So that one should jump out at you. Okay, so we have 4 progressions. I'm going to turn around and I'm going to play one of those 4 progressions and see how quickly you can figure out the progression. All right? I'll try to keep it pretty simple, rhythmically speaking. And it's all in the key of G. So these are familiar keys. And familiar chords, so you might be able to just get it by the sound of the chord, all right? Like how many strings I'm hitting or whatever. Okay, here we go. What do I want to do? Get that one? All right, here comes another one. Ready? That progression in particular kind of really leans into kind of a rock vibe. Power chords. Okay, here's another one. do one more progression. It's been an hour. Let's do one more progression, and maybe I can take some questions if anybody has any. Hey, Kathy, what's going on? Good to see you. Anybody else I haven't said hi to? So another common chord progression would be kind of the G, 1, 5, 6, 4. And oftentimes it would be a descending, like... I have not, Leon. But this progression, I'm using an inversion. I'm using a first inversion D chord. Put an F sharp in the bass, but you don't have to. You should be able to hear the chord progression. 5. Yeah, Johnny liked the key of E. Okay, so this one might be harder to hear, especially if you're thinking, 1, 6, 4, 5. But this one is a 1, 5, 6, 4. So it's kind of a twist on the 1, 6, 4, 5. All right. Similar, but not quite the same. But if you were to line those up, it would be G. The 1, 6, 4, 5 is G, E minor, C, D, and the 1, 5, 6, 4 is G, D, E minor, C. So it's similar but not the same. Okay. All right. Here we go. Okay, the new one is this. So just to kind of get it in your head. 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. I'm playing in 6, 8. All right. So here we go. Different progression, maybe. All right. Play along. Once you figure it out. And maybe don't play and just try to see if you can guess what it is without playing your guitar. Okay, I'm going to a different one here. Ready? I'm going to stay in 6. That's a 1, 4, 5, 4. Okay, we're going to go to a different one. Here we go. That's the 1, 4, 7, flat 7, F chord to C. Here we go. First chord of the progression. What chord is that? Oh, sorry, it does adds live now. Yeah, I know that. Sorry, but I set them to a half hour. That's the longest I can set them. And now it's blurry. Dang it. Okay, there it's not blurry. Now, come on, focus, focus. Really, because I had my back turned? That shouldn't have done it. I didn't really move where I was. All right, and I didn't do the new one, which was... No, Another common progression might be like a 1 6 2 5. 2 5 progression is 2 5 2 5 2 5 is very common in jazz. You know, you do like. All right. Sorry about the blurry thing. Let's see if it come follow the guitar to me. See this? So weird the camera when it does that. I think if I go, sometimes if I scoot back and then forward and still not, I have to get really close to get blurry, not blurry. All right, so we'll give it a second. I wish there were some kind of controls I had for it, you know, or a reset or something, but it just connects, and that's what OBS is looking at. So I don't think there's anything I can do in OBS. I'd be afraid to disconnect accidentally. So Leon was asking me, let's see. Yeah, Johnny Cash is great songs to learn. Where was that, Leon? I saw it. I lost it. Oh, quick question. Have I talked about chord inversions and copyright for songs? Yeah, I have, actually. So earlier, but when I talk about copyright, I personally think, you know, the melody is the main thing. Like, I couldn't write a song that was like, technically that riff is a melody. Oh, come on, camera. Gee, what is your deal? Hello? Okay, now focus on me. I don't understand why that's so difficult. It's like, isn't that the camera's job to constantly be seeking out where I am? Like, it has one job, right? And it's not doing it very well. But I can just talk until I'm not blurry. Because it's a little hard to see my fingers, I think. But yeah, I think of melody, lyrics to some degree. I think lyrics, if a melody and the lyrics were the same or very, very similar, you're going to have a hard time in court. But as far as actually copyrighting a song, do you have to record it or do sheet music for it and send it to the copyright office? Technically, no. My understanding is that the song is copyrighted the minute you wrote it, but then proving that you wrote it is a different thing. So because most of the songs when I write, they're being recorded by artists, it's more done by the record companies, all that stuff, and I get my percentages and the copyrights and all that are taken care of by the, you know, I own, as a writer, I have my own share of a song. So, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous, this camera. I don't think I ever gave it a review, and I probably should give it a bad review because it is just not focusing on me. Come on. There we go. Ugh, so frustrating. Okay, so, and then the inversion thing, yeah, I'm trying to keep these chords simple for now. So, for example, if I did one, it should still sound familiar, but if I played it a certain way, you might not recognize it as a 1-4-5-4 progression. So if I played G over B, for example, if I went... That's still a 1-4-5-4 progression, but it's just different, maybe a little more interesting. I can even go to first inversion C chord, first inversion G chord, root inversion C chord, root inversion D chord, root inversion. You could go be a way that I might play through something as adding a layer or a rhythm track to something that, the bass player is going. I might do something like, I might be more likely to go. So basically what I'm playing there is like a G dyad, and then I'm playing like a second inversion C chord. I'm playing a G and a C, and I'm going to a first inversion D chord, and back to the second inversion C chord. In that, what is it? You should still be able to still hear the harmony there, but it's not as obvious as when I was playing with the G, open G chord, open C chord, open D chord, and open C chord. So there definitely is an overall harmonic memory that you can generate, and that will help you to try to figure out things that are not quite lining up perfectly with that harmonic memory. And keep in mind, songs aren't necessarily just 4 chord progressions, and keep in mind, chords don't always change on beat 1. All of these things are variations, kind of almost, those kind of things are almost more obvious when you start writing, and you want to write a song and you want to go, okay, well, that sounds like this, I got to make it a little different, or what can I substitute here to make it more interesting, or that kind of thing. But that's different. That's called engineering. When you're trying to figure out a song, it's reverse engineering, right? You're trying to figure out how they built it. And so that's kind of what, and Rick Beato does it really well on his. I don't play a lot of songs. See, I can do it, but I don't play songs on here because I don't want to demonetize the videos. Not that these videos make me a lot of money. I probably shouldn't worry about it, but. Boom chuck, boom chuck, chucka. See, boom chuck, boom chucka, chucka, boom chuck, boom chucka. Is that? I'm not sure what rhythm that would be. It almost sounds like in 5. Nice. Johnny Cash, remember I did that series of videos. I did 3 videos, and the first one was the most popular one. I tried to come up with a consensus of different guitar players, and let's see here. Let's see. I need to go to my channel. Here it is. Right there. And then search for, what the heck is that? Strumming. Sure. So yeah, so I have Jack Johnson's favorite strumming pattern, Neil Young's favorite strumming pattern, and John Lennon's favorite strumming pattern, and that one has 12,000 views. And that was my first one. Okay, here's the John Lennon one, and it was basically 6/8, and it was 3 songs that I noticed. I think. Was it 2 Beatles songs and 1? They say it's this Christmas time. And then the other one was Neil Young's favorite video or favorite strumming groove. But the John Lennon one got like 12,000 views, not a lot, but share the link. Okay, here's the Neil Young one, and that one got 7,900. The Jack Johnson, not really very, not too many people are into Jack Johnson, so that one. But he definitely has a vibe or a groove that he tends to like. He also tends to play like bar chords on acoustic, which is kind of not so ringy, and you can do more right hand kind of muting when you play bar chords on acoustic, and that's a different vibe. And there are definitely times where I'll play bar chords. I don't have a problem playing bar chords on acoustic. It's just if I want to make it sound like ringy and country or folky, and it's in a bad key like B flat, I'm going to capo at the 3rd fret and play G shapes because I want it to sound ringy and folky and open. But if it's kind of a groovy thing, that's like like that pop progression, maybe like a. Then in that kind of vibe, see, there's a lot of ghost notes or dead or muted notes. Listen. Hear that? See, I'm not pushing down. I'm just basically deadening the strings with my bar chord. See, that easy to me is easier than this one. So, yes, Leo? Leo? So that's a scenario where I would use bar chords to get that vibe on acoustic. It's a very good vibe. So those are the 3 videos I did. So I wanted to do one on Johnny Cash and Bob Dylan. And I've listened to... I listened to probably 20 Johnny Cash songs and about 20 Bob Dylan songs, and I couldn't really, I was expecting, to be honest, I was expecting to hear like the same group, like Johnny Cash, not really known as a guitar player, more of a songwriter, more of an artist. And so I was kind of like, oh, I think, I was thinking that there would be some groove that Johnny Cash would use that would be like, oh, that's every song has this vibe. No, it wasn't really the case. I'll still do some research on it if I really want to do that. But Johnny Cash and Dylan were 2 of the ones that I thought would be really good ones. Nope, those are not. Those are steel strings. I think Jack Johnson, though, he does, I think, use nylon string guitars sometimes. Kind of ukulele, sounding, right? Ukuleles have nylon strings, but the loudness steel strings. I know it's a little weird because the bridge looks different, but this is steel string. In fact, it's a very brassy guitar. It's Irish. Who is it? Let's see. trying to remember. I wrote it, so I'm just trying to remember what I wrote. Shoot. Oh, is it? Yeah, probably got the mic turned up a little too much. Sorry about that. So yeah, if it goes into the red, it's distorting, right? But yeah, I would like to, Dylan, Johnny Cash. I thought about Tom Petty too, but there was really nothing Tom Petty. There was like he was really good at writing, and so when you're a really good writer, you tend to mix it up a little bit. You don't tend to do the same strumming groove on every song. In fact, remember I did a video years ago. The most important thing for electric guitar players to work on, and the most important thing for acoustic guitar players to work on, in my opinion. And for electric guitar players, learn your fretboard, learn the neck, okay? Because that'll aid you in finding scales and finding chords and finding inversions, finding whatever melodies, whatever you're looking for. And ultimately, you want to be really fluid throughout up and down the neck. And with acoustic guitar players, people that are saying, oh, I just want to be an acoustic guitar player, they basically just want to play songs. And one thing I've noticed with a lot of acoustic guitar players, even performers, like if you go to a coffee shop or a bar and there's a guy up there strumming some chords and singing some songs, a lot of times they're using the same chord progression, same strumming groove for every song. So what I tell acoustic players, like the number one thing, is learn a lot of grooves, a lot of right-hand grooves. So this lesson series kind of flies in the face of that, right? It's like, okay, it's really important to learn a lot of grooves. Well, and that's why I'm teaching the lessons, because here's Jack Johnson's favorite groove, and here's John Lennon's favorite groove, and here's Neil Young's favorite groove. So if you learn those three, you've got three new grooves you can use now, right? So, yeah, thank you, Holly. Thanks for that. Well, I turned it down a little bit. I was doing a lot of strumming, so I apologize if I'm not quite paying attention to the microphone. The microphone is actually, I think, on the camera. And I have a meter here that I can see. Hey, Sam Stamos is hoping for a Michigan victory in the college championship. That would be amazing. Since they've done the 4-team thing, playoffs, no Big Ten team has won that. No Pac-10 team has won it. It's always been like SEC pretty much, right? And there's an SEC. Oh, Alabama's in it. It's like, Alabama, they'll win. So, yeah, well, yeah. Oh, it's in Pasadena. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I actually, I hesitate to tell you this, Sam. My first time I ever used eBay to sell something or buy something. But the first time I ever used it, I sold something. But my stepbrother had a friend who knew that I lived in Pasadena, and said, "Hey, if you live in Pasadena, you can get Rose Bowl tickets." And I'm like, I can? And he said, "Yeah, you can go and wait in line, and they have it's like a lottery or something. There's like a day, and you can go and get tickets, and they don't give them away. You have to buy them. I think they were $75 a pop." And he goes, "I'll pay you $100 to wait in line for me and get me a ticket." And I don't even know this person. It was all through email, and it was the friend of my stepbrother's. And I'm like, so I said, okay. And my thought was that, hey, I'll go ahead and get 2 tickets, because I was allowed to buy 2 tickets. And I'll sell the other one and maybe make some money on it, right? Scalp it or whatever. Well, for some reason, I tried to sell it on eBay, and I couldn't. And maybe because eBay didn't allow it to be sold. I don't know. I never got any offers. anything like that. And so I had this ticket that expired. And maybe there was, I didn't read the rules or anything. Maybe you were not allowed to scalp tickets or something. I don't know, on eBay. I just thought, oh, I have a ticket. And that other guy got me the $100. I don't know if he mailed me a check and I mailed him the ticket or whatever. It's like, you don't want 2 tickets? Come on, but he only wanted 1 ticket. And so I got 2 tickets and it didn't sell. And I was like, shoot, I basically lost $75 because that ticket, it's no good now. And it was just sitting in a drawer, and I decided, oh, okay, you know what? I wonder, I should throw this up on eBay and see if I can get $20 for it. Maybe somebody will want to, for like some kind of display case. Well, I think I got 120 for that ticket because it wasn't torn in half. Like when you went into the game, they tore the ticket in half, so you couldn't find a ticket. There were very, very few unused tickets for that Rose Bowl. So this person wanted to make a big display because he was a big, I don't know who won it, but yeah, maybe Ohio State or something like that. And maybe Michigan. And they wanted to make, it seems like it was Wisconsin, but I don't know last time Wisconsin won the Rose Bowl. But this was a while ago. So I actually ended up selling it on eBay a few years after it was an expired ticket. That may be, but that was my first. Trying to sell that ticket was my first experience on eBay, and it was a bummer because I was like, $75 was a lot of money. I was hoping to make $25 or something, Oh, you went to the 90? Yeah, we lived there. Yeah, excuse me. We lived just 2 blocks south of the parade route, so we would walk up to the parade. Before we had kids, we would walk up, stand there, watch the parade go by. It's like a 3-hour parade. It's a long parade. Maybe not quite 3 hours, but it's pretty long. And so we'd stand there, we wouldn't have seats. Then once the kids got a little older, we were going to church. The church we went to was like 30 miles away from Pasadena, so we would save a bunch of seats, and then the people from church would come and sit in the seats, and they'd hang out, and we'd have a party afterwards, and basically chill. It was cold, and some of the kids wanted to spend the night on the parade route, so we'd have heaters and all that stuff. Basically, you got to keep tabs on it. We would have anywhere from 20 to 30 chairs, and you have to keep tabs on it because people they will take your space, they will take your chairs. I mean, it's crazy. It's like, you can't sit there. You didn't spend the whole night babysitting these chairs. Go stand over there. These are our chairs. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, oh, yep, your niece played it. Yep. It's funny because I'll yell at the kids in the marching bands. I'll be like, only 27 more miles to go or something like that. As the parade gets later and later, I'll say it longer. It'll start like, only 7 more miles. I think the route is it 3.5 miles or 7 miles? I can't remember. I think it's 7 miles. A long parade. And if you're carrying a tuba, oh my gosh, or the drums and stuff like that, it's good they're young. But yeah, later in the parade, I would be like yelling at marching bands like, oh, only 112 more miles to go, and they just smile because they know it's not true. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It's exhausting. And my wife, God bless her, she would almost always take the late shift, and she'd be the one putting the chair. I'd go up there because I think it was 11 o'clock at night. You can move the chairs to the yellow line or the red line or whatever it is. And yeah, but not doing that anymore. Yep. And that's another thing, Sadie. Yeah, that's very true. Like if you're doing a groove on a song, man, to come up with some variations. I mean, one of the most common strumming groove is, I call the folk groove is this. So 1, 4, 6, 5 progression. I can put a snare hit on 2 and 4. I can put a snare hit on just 4. Oh no, that's 2. That's 3. Let's see. Wait. Let me do. So B. but 3 is more common. So I go from the 2/4 hit to the 3 hit. It's like it goes into halftime feel. The feel cuts in half, but the chords go by the same rate. So that's a cool trick. You could also do something like, or but just taking that standard folk groove, you can do variations on that, and that means that you could do variations on any groove that you play. And exactly, Kathy, who said that? Sadie, and that means that. What that allows you to do is you make your song a little more interesting. So maybe do the groove, like the simple folk groove on the verse, but on the chorus bring in the backbeat and then go back to a simple groove on the verse. Or you can always go to just footballs and hitting chords. Like a lot of times, like the second to last chorus, you're going to just hit the chords and let them ring out for 4 beats, and then back into the groove. You want to kind of have dynamics in your song. You don't want your dynamics, if you're performing live in particular, to be flatlining the entire time, or you're going to kind of bore your audience. You kind of want to keep them guessing. It's like, breaking a song down, which just means kind of stripping it down to just maybe a chord on the downbeat on beat 1 and letting it ring for 4 beats and singing over that. It's kind of like whispering. Suddenly people listen a lot more when you whisper. What's he saying? Is it really important, or is he just whispering? And so that's kind of dynamics are used that way in music to kind of draw people in and then push them away. Okay, whatever. All right. Sorry. Yes, I'm in the U.S. of A, but not everybody here is from the USA. We've got other people. Joseph is California, and so is Holly. Let's see. Sam is in Michigan in the USA, but is Dennis here? I haven't seen Dennis in a minute. But Dennis is in Holland. I was in Scotland in June with my wife. We went to Edinburgh and neighboring areas a little bit. But yeah, we don't generally get anybody from Asia because it's really late there. It's like middle of the night in Asia. We don't get anybody from Australia. It's rare. A couple times I've done live streams at like 9 o'clock at night, and that's when I get no one in Europe is there, but then I get people from Asia and from Oh, Richard, you're in Netherlands too. Yep. So, and Sadie, you're the UK. For some reason I didn't think that. Yep. AKA Holland, I know. Holland is part of the Netherlands, though, right? The Netherlands is the greater region. Holland is a little bit smaller. Yeah, and then you're Dutch, and it's like, what? Why isn't it called Dutchland? Because that's where all the Dutch live. It's so confusing. You're just trying to throw everybody off. Yep, California, born and raised. Well, not me. I was born in Indiana. I was born across the street from Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana, which people are like, especially Californians, they're like, no, Notre Dame's Ivy League, East Coast. No, it's Midwest, it's Indiana. But there's colleges. Where's Gonzaga? I always forget where Gonzaga is. Is that like Spokane, Washington or something? It's like there's a couple colleges I'm like, I think they're East Coast or something, and they're not. They're like weird places. So, oh, you grew up in San Diego. Wow, and you live in Holland now. That's crazy. Can I play ETA? Yeah, I think I can play ETA without getting a copyright strike. I own the copyright, so why would I do that? But the label does it. Basically, that's it. It's a very common R&B progression that I just kind of spiced up with my sexy rhythm guitar playing. But yeah, So yeah, I'm about to sign out and get to work. I've got a I'm working on a song with an artist and trying to get it right, and I ended up coming up with this tuning. So I may have to do a video on this tuning, but I'm gonna have to wait till the record comes out. But it's C, G, D, G, C, E. But I don't want to reveal any more than that because it's kind of a cool progression that I'm doing on it. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, I got to make the art. If I can make the artist happy, it'll get on a record maybe. So yeah, SIP. Yeah, I've changed. Oh, I guess that's true. That's the first time I've changed guitars. And here the ETA Strats right here. I was using it on a game that I can't mention the name of. So, because I had to sign an NDA, so I'm not allowed to talk about it. NDA is a non-disclosure agreement. But I can talk about that I signed it, I think. That's about it. Let's see. Oh, yeah, no, that's my coffee's cold by now, too. I actually don't mind it cold. I think I got the heater on in here. Did I turn it on? It doesn't feel like it. But usually, if I shut my doors to my office and turn on the little space heater, then... You guys didn't say anything about this. Did anybody see this? You've seen this before. Yeah, this is an electric sitar by Jerry Jones. Not really, they don't make it. Well, it doesn't. Jerry Jones doesn't exist anymore. I don't think. I think he passed away. But yeah, it's plastic body, just like the original. It's very much like the original. It's just got a buzzy bridge, basically. Yeah, it's 6 knobs. So we have a volume, tone for this pickup, volume and tone for this pickup, and a volume and tone for this pickup. And this isn't really in tune. I don't really ever use the. It's kind of a Schwarmendal. It's not a These are not really sympathetic strings like you would have on a real sitar. This is nothing like a real sitar. All it is an electric guitar with a buzzy bridge and then an electric Schwarmendal on there. What's that say? I'm not, no, well, yeah, the Grammys, yeah, I walked away and, how did we do this again? Went like this and slowly back. So there are two of the games that are nominated for Grammys I worked on. Actually, a third game I'm working on the current iteration of Call of Duty. So, but I wasn't on the version that was got the nomination. Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely, this electric sitar definitely has cinematic qualities to it. Yeah, I don't get a statue or anything like that. Yeah, yeah. The composers will. The guys I work for will get a Grammy if they win, and I'm happy for them. I can get a certificate or something that I can frame, but I don't ever do that. I played on a lot of Grammy things, and I think I've played on. I mean, you can get a certificate that for that you were nominated, you were on a nominated this or that. I just don't care about any of that kind of stuff. I got gold records and platinum records, that I've worked on. I don't. Here's the deal. I mean, literally, some of those records I played on, I think I got $300, $500 for the session, and to get that gold record and get it framed and everything is like $1,000. So why would I spend $1,000 to commemorate the fact that I was underpaid for a record? So if I write on a record, there's residuals. That's a totally different thing. And I've got gold, platinum records that I've written on, and that's always nice because those mechanicals keep coming in. But and as far as Oscars go, when are the Oscars nominations announced? Have they announced the Oscars? Because a few years ago, a friend of mine got nominated for an Oscar for game score, Austin Wintry, and March 10th is when they are. Do they have the? It's kind of a weird. Oh, here we go. Okay, yeah, I don't see nominations yet. When is that? Rules and voting. Yeah, I'm a member of the SCL, which is the Society of Composers and Lyricists. So I get sent a ton of like DVDs of all the movies. Like they sent me Oppenheimer and stuff like that to listen to or to watch, and because I'm a voting member of the SCL, and they have an award ceremony too. It's kind of like the Writers Guild and the Directors Guild, but for composers. So I'm a member of that, and so I can vote for my favorite film score and other different categories. The voting hasn't started yet, though. They're still sending me DVDs, or I'll get like links where enter this code and I can go watch all these movies on Paramount or on HBO or whatever. So yeah, most of them I'm not going to watch. It's too much time. Some of them I'm like, oh, I wanted to see that movie, then I'll watch it. So no, I don't remember Red Light, Green Light with Engineer Bill, but sounds fun. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a current is. Oh, so the question is there any current R&B artists you would like to collaborate with? I would like to do, well, hesitate but I like Khalil a lot. So I've actually been asked to do, and I've done some writing for the camp. Don't know that anything is going to turn up. The pop music business is, I've learned, and it's not for me. It's some people. It's not this way, but for me, it's pretty heartbreaking, and not anymore. It's not heartbreaking anymore because I don't expect anything to happen. I've got a huge artist that tagged one of my songs that I wrote with another writer, and she wants to record it, but I don't know her, and I don't know what if it'll ever come out, and so I just don't even think about it. I just I can't say who it is, but oh really? Another ad? 10 minutes? That's weird. Let me see what it said at. Oh, it said. Oh, it did say something about staggering the ads, monetization. Show ads to viewers at different times to maximize revenue. So to maximize revenue, I'll get 12 cents for this video. Yeah, I'm not going to insert manually. I have it every 30, so maybe what your average will be 30 minutes. But if you get an ad every 10 minutes, that's not what I have it set to. I literally have it set 30 minutes, which is the longest you can. I can set it to every 5 minutes, but I would not watch, or 6, 12, 18, 24, and 30 is the longest. So I have it set to the longest. And that's just so I don't have to insert them later, because I often forget. But I apologize for the ads. Dua Lipa, actually a friend of mine works with Dua Lipa, mixes her records. Yeah, she's great. I mean, hey, I'll collab with any known artist. But yeah, it's just it has to happen organically. I'm not really seeking these opportunities out. This girl that I'm working with, as soon as we're done, I'm gonna try to get a pass of an idea for replacing her guitars for a song. She's not super duper famous or anything like that, but who knows? The song could be the song that launches her career. She's got a few million spins on her YouTube videos, but I don't want to say who she is at this point. Maybe when the record comes out, I'll mention it, of course. I haven't done anything with Justin in a while, but Justin's introduced me to a lot of people, and so that's opened doors in different places. And I'm sending to different producers if I have a really cool hook idea. I've got like one of Justin's producers, a couple of Justin's producers I send them to. So they may end up in Justin's camp if he starts making records again. I don't know that he is or isn't right now. So, but who knows? We'll see what happens. But yeah, there's a few R&B artists, but yeah, Dua Lipa would be fun. I don't know. Harry Styles would be great. I think I could do some really cool stuff with Harry. I don't even know if he's ever in LA. Does he record in LA or do you? But he's a very good musician. Who's the guy that wrote the main hook for Kid Laroi and Justin Bieber? I think this guy is super. Charlie Puth. I think Charlie Puth is super. See, look at that. I got a white screen up and it's like all bright. Charlie Puth is super talented, but he doesn't really need a guitar player like me to write with necessarily. But the nice thing, I think, what I'm really good at is thinking outside the box. And so, the people that called me a couple days ago to work on this song for this girl, they're all in their, mid-20s. So age doesn't seem to matter if you can deliver. And in fact, sometimes having a lot of experience, i.e. age, can be a real helpful thing if you're going, we want to take it in kind of a 90s vibe or an 80s vibe or a 70s vibe. And I can go, well, shoot, I had bands in every one of those vibes. So I played disco in the 70s. So if you really want to go there, I can do that. But what I really like doing is trying to create something that is a 2025 vibe. To me, that's actually the most interesting, and I think that's part of the reason why I've got some of the work that I've gotten is because I'm always trying to think about, what hasn't been done yet? And that also is easier for someone who has been playing for 40, 50 years. Let's see, how long have I been playing? I've been playing for 53 years. So when a kid plays me a song and he goes, oh, check out this cool thing I made up, I'm like, you didn't make that up. That's America. That's a horse with no name. Or, they'll go, hey, check out this cool riff I came up with. Yeah, that's a Michael Jackson riff. So, I'm like, nope, I can't do that. Okay, I got to do something like this. And that's often why I'll do weird tunings, because it will force me to think outside the box and not do anything like anyone else has ever done. So Sadie, where in the UK are you? I'm hoping to, I don't know if we'll take a trip next year, but I'm hoping to take another trip. And we're planning on doing not that I want to visit, okay? I kind of like just going and Beth and I just going and doing our thing. But I'm thinking about doing small-ish towns, Oxford, Cambridge, and then maybe like along the coast in Cotswold, things like that. My friend Barton, he was giving me a kind of a list of small little towns to visit that are really quaint. So I'm looking at some places like that. And I'm thinking about drive. Well, if we're going to do that, we're going to be driving. So I've never driven in Europe or the UK. So I didn't do it in Scotland. I should have rented a car for a day and just practiced. But I feel like in the country of England, it won't be too bad. And if you're on the highway or the freeway, or what do they call it in England? We call it freeway here. But if you're on the freeway, it's not too hard. You just got to remember, okay, slow cars stay to the left, right, and the fast cars go to the right or something. And then the exits, and you got to remember when you get off the exit and everything. So you just learned about me 30 seconds ago. Typed your name in YouTube and saw you were alive. What a time to be alive. I'm still learning about me too. So I'm a legend in my spare time. I'm a legend in my own mind. Motorways. Oh, you call them motorways. Oh, okay. So and the scary thing too is I'm thinking we may not get a hotel or an Airbnb until we're actually in the town. Because I was thinking, I could book 2 nights here and 2 nights here, blah, 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 right? And my plan is to have every place that we go less than 2 hours apart driving. So I'm thinking 11 o'clock in the morning, hit the road when everybody's already at work, so I'm not jacking anybody up. At noon, have a preset place that we're going to go to lunch, a pub or something, get some food, and then we have another hour or less drive to the hotel that we're staying at. And then if we like that town, then we can stay another night. You see what I'm saying? Or if we really like it, we can stay 3 nights or whatever and just take it in. I want to see stuff, but I also want to just kind of relax. And driving might be the opposite of relaxing. Maybe we should just go to Fiji and lay on a beach. But I'm just not a beach guy. I don't like having sand everywhere. I just don't like it. I'm too fastidious. It's part of being a guitar player. Oh, Engineer Bill. Thank you, Bruce, for hooking that up there. Brits say motorway. Drove in Scotland, still haven't recovered. Yeah, I think we talked about that a little bit, Bruce. Yeah, I'm hoping that, I'll be getting full insurance when I'm there. Let's put it that way. Yeah, well, and the left side of the car, and I'm going to get an automatic. I don't know how to drive a stick in the U.S., so driving a stick and using my right hand to change gears, I'd be on this using my left hand. Yeah, not going to happen. So I feel like sitting on the right side of the car, though, will help you remember that you're in England and that you're supposed to drive on the left-hand side of the road. I feel like that is a kind of an advantage. If I were driving an American car with a left-hand steering wheel, I feel like that would probably make it more difficult to stay on the left-hand side of the road. So St. Andrews, I know we didn't get to St. Andrews. We got to, where did we go? We went to, we only left Edinburgh one day. We kind of just, it was a beautiful city. There was a lot to do there. We went to several, we went, to the castle, of course, and we also went to the Holyrood Palace. We climbed the hill, the Arthur's seat. Actually, we did Arthur's footstool. We thought we were climbing Arthur's seat, and we got to the top and realized there was something above us. We call it Arthur's footstool because we didn't make it to Arthur's seat. But it was beautiful, and it was hard work to get up there for Beth in particular. And so we just said, yeah, we're good. And the views were amazing. And then the food, we got some great food. I mean, the pub life, we really, really love the pub life and the fact that it's just everybody, it's the neighborhood living room. The pubs that close at like 10, not the pubs that close at 2. The pubs that close at 2 are like party rooms. The pubs that close at like 10 are just people's family room, and they come down and maybe have dinner, or they'll get a beer or something. And so, yeah, thank you, Bruce. Let's see. Yeah, so where did we go? We trained out to, and we could have done more training. The training was very easy there, but we had to walk really far from the train station to get to the castle. And then we get to the castle, and it's a dilapidated castle, um, but it was closed. Didn't really look on the website close enough to see. Oh shoot, they're closed because they were repairing the dilapidation a little bit. There's some of the some of it was falling apart. The weather out there is really rough, on the North Sea, and it's just sitting on top of the North Sea. But yeah, it was. We went out to, and it was beautiful out there. We went out to North Berwick. Is that right? Yeah. And we went to the Tantalon Castle and walked around on the outside. We ate at a place called Drift right on the water. It was really nice. And yeah, it was North, right? Was it North Berwick? Yeah, Berwick. I don't know how they said it. But we walked, gosh, I think that day we walked 20,000 steps just from the train station to the castle. It was 10,000 each way, so about 4 miles. And it was gorgeous. But again, we didn't have a car, so we were just walking or training. So, yes, that was the walk that I streamed on Instagram. We were walking on just the side of the road. I mean, there was no sidewalk or nothing. Fortunately, the road wasn't too busy, but it was windy and cold and beautiful, and loved it. We'd go back to Scotland. This time, though, we'd spend a couple days in Edinburgh, and then we'd get if it goes well if we do the small towns of England trip and it goes well, I could see driving Scotland and going to Scotland again and driving it. And my daughter and her husband drove Ireland, and if they can do it, I can do it. But I'm getting older, my eyes are getting weaker, and that's why, like I said, if we drive, it's like we're going to hit the road at 11. Hopefully not too rainy, be done driving by 1 or 2. So I'm not driving at night. We get to the hotel and we're ready, whatever. We'll walk around the town while we're there. That's kind of the dream at this point. So, Barrett. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was gorgeous. That town, it was a cute little town too. We didn't eat in there because we were kind of in a hurry to get to the castle, and on the way back from the castle we stopped at this little thing called Drift, and it was just this actually really good food, but it was shipping containers, I think, that when they turned into a restaurant. Really fascinating. But it was just on a bluff overlooking the North Sea and the beach and everything. We thought about walking along the coast, but they said it would be really difficult to walk along the coast because there were points where there's the water, like there's no sand. You can't walk on the sand, and you have to walk on rocks, and you have to, And so we stayed away from that. It would have taken too long. And we also, want to make sure we catch the last train back to. I don't even know if there are any hotels in North Berwick. Let's see. Hotels. Oh, there's a couple, yeah. Yeah, that would have been pretty. That one looks nice. Marine North Berwick. Oh, it's a 5-star hotel. Wow. Yeah, well, then it is nice. And I like staying in 5 stars, but we've done that. We do that every now and then. When we were in Holland, when we were in Amsterdam, we stayed at the Alma. No, sorry, when we were in Barcelona, we stayed at the Alma, and it was at least a 4-star hotel. It was super duper nice. And I got a great deal. We were there like 7, 8, 9 nights. Yeah, the Highlands. That was the thing. We didn't really see the Highlands. We wanted to go to. We were gonna go up to Balmoral, but you couldn't take tours of the house. Only the chapel or something and the grounds. And it's like, oh man, we wanted to see the house, but yeah, they actually live there sometimes, so I guess you can't go in there. But Holyrood, they go into, they live there, sometimes a month a year. The Queen would be there, so Last train to Clarksville, exactly. Yeah, I didn't want to miss that last train to Edinburgh, so we kind of didn't dawdle once we'd gone to the castle and walked back. We had dinner in Edinburgh that night, so it was fine. The train ran great, super clean, on time. You know, a few stops, took a while, but that's okay. Anyway, okay, I gotta get to work. But good to see you all. Yeah, he's staying Days Inn. Yeah, no, I've done the Days Inn. We stayed at a cheap hotel on the beach. It was on the beach, just south of Santa Barbara, and we went there for my birthday, and just to be on the beach. And the bed was awful. I mean, it was just awful. It was like you know, we're like, eh. So we left. We just went. We were only like an hour and a half from home, so we're like, yeah, let's just sleep in our bed tonight. It was fun going to the, being on the beach and sitting there and looking at the, laying in the sun. It was warm. It was July, and it was cooler there than it was in LA. So that was nice. We went to dinner, and there was one seagull in particular that was insanely aggressive and dove down and stole people's shrimp off their table and knocked over their wine and everything. It was crazy. I'm like, yeah, we didn't order dinner there because it was like, I don't want to be fighting the seagulls for my food. So, corn-fused. Oh, you can get there by 4:30 right now? Where? Oh, Edinburgh or... wait, 4:30? No, there's no way. All right, well, listen, I should get going. Yep, you're welcome, Richard. Yeah. So we were in Edinburgh. We had an Airbnb there. It was fine. It wasn't great. The pictures on the Airbnbs are always like the best stuff. If they have close-ups, if you go to like Airbnb and you scroll through pictures and they have close-ups of like, they've got like fireplace utensils and they zoom in on that and make a really pretty picture of that. Or there's a flower vase and they get a good picture. Don't go there. They're zooming in on those things that like make you think, oh, it's a lovely place, and then they don't show you that the bathroom has mold or the ceilings are cracked, or we had a leak in the kitchen that was leaking from the apartment above down into the kitchen. I still gave them a good review. I told them about the leak, and they were going to look into it. But and the funny thing is, I read an article about this guy wrote that he stayed in an Airbnb in New York City, and his friend, they were going all for a wedding, and his friends all stayed at a hotel, and they had to check out at noon or 11 o'clock or whatever, and he had to check out by 11, but he had 3 hours of stuff he had to do for the Airbnb. Like he had to take the sheets off the bed and put them in the washing machine and start the washer, and then he had to wait until they were done and put them in the dryer and start the dryer, and then put the towels in the washer, and he had to do the dishes and put the dishes away, and it was all this stuff, and they take the trash down around the corner to this place, and he said it took him 3 hours to get all this laundry list of things he had to do for the Airbnb owner. And ultimately, his friends were all waiting for him. Like they were at the restaurant having a good time, and he showed up and they'd already eaten, and it was like, okay. So I'm not sure why I chose an Airbnb. Actually, it was a VRBO in Edinburgh. Maybe because I was looking at both hotels and things, and we were thinking, it's nice to have a kitchen. And if I was going to stay in a hotel in Edinburgh, I was going to stay in one of the classic hotels, not like a Embassy Suites where they have a kitchen, because that's I want to get as much Edinburgh vibe from it. So the apartment kind of it was right there. It was perfectly right, like on this little street in Edinburgh in Newtown. Really, really cute street, and there was a coffee shop across the street, a really nice restaurant across the street, and a bar right below us, and it was just magical. It was exactly the experience I wanted. So the apartment facilitated that, and that's kind of that's kind of what I wanted to do. Yep. Oh, okay. So you got another ad. Well, it's been 2 hours. So, yep. Oh, and 35 degrees. Yeah, I think we're supposed to hit 72 today. So it's not, it's cold, but not bad. I don't really complain about the weather very often in California. So in LA. All right, everybody. God bless you. Thanks for watching. Next week, we may continue on with the ear training thing. Um, if you want, start picking up, just turn on songs and try to figure out the key. Go through a whole album of songs and see if you can figure out what key the songs are in. And then see if you can, then maybe do your diagram. We should do we should diagram every key so you have all the chords in every key. I could do it for you, and then you could I could turn it into a PDF and put it up on Discord. The problem with that is you don't really learn anything from that. If you do it yourself, I could start it and leave it blank, and you could fill it out, and that would maybe help. And I could maybe do a couple of the, in different spots, do the, insert the answer so that if you got it right when you're figuring it out. But to me, that's more valuable, is actually doing your own chart. Maybe even do a chart where you chart out all the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chord in all 12 keys, or not even all 12 keys. You can pick, the 8 most common keys, and do that chart, right? And then throw it in the trash and do it again. Throw it in the trash and do it a third time. And by then you'll start to see patterns, and you'll start to see things on the guitar. You'll be like, oh. So yeah, almost always better to learn and figure things out on your own than for me just to give you the information. Does that make sense? Somebody asked me, oh, is there on one of my videos on open tunings, like playing different chords and stuff like that, they said, do you have the chart? Can you do the chart? Can you chart out all the chords for me? And I'm like, no, just stop the video, look at my hand, you write the chart out. You'll learn so much more doing that. So yeah, figure things out for yourself, and you'd be surprised at how much you learn. Oh, well, that's good, Stag. All right. Anyway, I'll see you guys. So next Monday, so that'll be the 18th. And then the next Monday is going to be Christmas. So I don't know if I will be here Christmas morning, okay? So we may, and New Year's Day, I'm not sure. We may have a couple weeks off. So next week might be the last, or I might do a midweek thing, or maybe I'll do a jam with Alex or something. Maybe I can throw up some chord progressions and you guys can practice soloing or something like that. So, well, I'm glad you're not getting any ads. That's awesome. I mean, I don't know. Ads how I make money, but if you've got YouTube Pro, you won't get ads, or YouTube whatever.